Good morning. A little chilly and foggy this morning, but sun's starting to peep over the horizon, so should warm up real quick. The real story of this trip has been the ticks. I've hiked in tick country a lot of places, but I've never seen them like this. It's probably because Michigan had such a mild winter. I mean, hardly had a winter. So I'm assuming a hard winter would kill off some of the population, and I don't think anything got killed off this year because I stop every hour and check myself for ticks and find a half dozen or more. Last night getting into my tent, I checked everything. Then I climbed in the tent and just went over all my clothing and my body and found 12 or so on me. It's just never ending here. So this is pretty bizarre. So the elk herd here was introduced, but it was over 100 years ago, and I haven't seen one yet on this trek, but I've been here before, and they are in the area. Fall is a better time to see and hear them, in my opinion. Looks like I'm coming to a shelter. I'm not sure what the story on these shelters are, whether you need a reservation or it's first come, first serve. It's the only one I've seen, so it might be the only one on this loop. This is the Canada Creek shelter along the trail. I don't know how many, this is the only one I've seen, so I'm assuming this is the only one there is. I need some water. I'm assuming since this shelter's on Canada Creek, there'd be access to water, but I haven't found it yet. It's pretty brushy all the way out to the creek. So morning's a great time to walk if you want to hear birds. That's when they're most active. Right just standing here, I can hear veeries, pine warbler, Nashville warbler, a lot of warblers in these woods. Very seldom do you see them. You know, if you do, it's just a glance. You'd have to really set up a blind, listen for them, find them, and then have a telephoto to actually get a picture of them. But a nice app to use, because you can, even if you know bird sounds, you get rusty and you're in different parts of the country. And I use an app called Merlin, and you just pop that thing up and it'll tell you everything around you. It's just a really incredible app. So whenever I hear something that's questionable, I just turn on the recording on that app. It'll pop up the bird, picture of the bird. You never had that in the old days. It's pretty cool. So as many years as I've been backpacking, I still learn something just about every time I go out. Something I'm going to change, something that's not right, something I don't want to fiddle with. On this trip though, it was a medical issue, and that's going to actually be the subject of my next video. This one's probably already too long. It'll be me kind of eating crow. Speaking of which, do you know why you never see crow roadkill? I mean, you see turtles, snakes, possum, skunks, raccoons. You never see a crow. And there's a reason for that. Because there's always two more in the tree going, "Car! Car!" And while I'm sitting here being stared at by a northern star flower, I believe that is. I see a bazillion of them on this trail. It's just the time of year I've timed it right. That and lady slippers. And so, you know, the trilliums have kind of waned out. But these guys, it must be their day in the sun because they're everywhere. Taking a little snack break, drying out my tent. A lot of condensation last night, so I thought I'd pick the slugs off of it. I don't know what their attraction is. Every morning I've got slugs climbing up my tent, leaving their slime marks. They must think it's Everest Base Camp or something. Anyway, takes about 5 minutes to have a snack, 10 minutes, be completely dry, ready for tonight. Not sure if slugs are edible or not, but you could make soup out of all of them. Come on, buddy. Hang on for dear life. Like super glue. Guess we got him. Sometimes you've got to go fishing for your water. Still got some light, but it feels like it's gonna rain any minute, so I found this nice little hidey hole here, and I'm gonna call it a night. I'll have a short day in the morning anyway. Good morning. Rained all night last night, so the weather gods have been good to me on this trip. It's been beautiful during the day and only rained at night, so gonna wrap this trip up probably in the next few hours. I think I don't know. I know I've got less than half a day to hike. I don't even have any mileage on this trip. I just have a little map that I screenshot on the phone, and I went counterclockwise, and the trail's been really well maintained, well marked. Just follow the blue blazes, you got no problem. 82 miles later, you're back at your car, and that'll be today. So I did it again. My Uber light popped last night, and I'm not really sure, what happens. I don't usually use it fully inflated. I use it about 3/4 inflated. It's more comfortable for me that way. And I reached up last night, so I sat up to put my glasses away, and I heard a pop, and so 2 ribs came together. And once 2 come together, it won't be long before more start popping. You can still sleep on it. You just let a little more air out, and it's not like there's a great big hump there. If you fill it right up, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. But I'll call Monday and see if I can get another one. Hey, it's me. Who bothers you more than me? But they've been really good about it. This will be the 3rd one that I've popped, and they've always replaced it. So I'm hoping that they're going to continue with that policy, but I'm almost embarrassed to call them. But, I use mine, if you're backpacking a few times a year, probably last you forever. But, I put hundreds of nights on these things before they fail. And it's funny, with my older model, the 12-ounce one, can't think of the name of it, the yellow one, never popped that, but put a million holes in it, probably because I used it so much longer. But I've never put a hole in one of these Uber lights. Things will come through your floor. I don't know, maybe hit some of your gear. A pad does deflate occasionally because of a puncture, but I've never had a puncture in my Uber light. It's always been this malfunction. So again, they've been good. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know. Who slimes my tent more than you guys? Come here. Come here. Oh, that's not a snail. That's just an earthworm. He found a nice warm spot under my pad last night. So even though I beat the rain last night, still putting on wet socks and wet shoes this morning, because the last thing I did last night, about a mile back, was ford the Pigeon River. So everything got a little wet. But it really doesn't make any difference because 20 feet up this wet trail, they're going to be wet even if I started out dry. So it's all relative. So this is just part of the program, waking up in the morning after it's been raining all night. Everything's wet, tent's soaking wet. Shake it off the best I can. I just wrap it up. I'll deal with it later when the sun comes out, if it comes out. Pretty warm this morning, but if it was cool, I'd have those Showa gloves on, putting things away with those gloves on, keep my hands dry, which actually helps keep them warm. But this morning, that's not a problem. You know, once you get up, once you get moving, all's good. You can dry things out later. So your feet won't get any more waterlogged fording a river or a creek than just walking in wet trail grass in the morning. Your shoes will get soaked, your socks will get soaked. My pants are wet up to the knee, and I've never had trench foot, so you know, when it dries out, they'll dry out. Actually, it makes my feet feel pretty good at times. So like I said, this trail is very well marked, pretty well maintained. You don't even need a map. Now, I just got off course, but had nothing to do with the trail and how well it's marked. It had more to do with me daydreaming, which I do a lot. And I just missed my turn. But with this trail, I mean, if you don't see a blue blaze in 2 minutes, you're not on trail. It's that well marked. And you know, I'm probably gonna make this more of a 3-day trail. I started on Wednesday, probably 10:30, 11, and I'm probably gonna end up before noon on Saturday. And you know, I don't really kill it, but there's a lot of light this time of year, so I do walk from dark 30 till dusk. And you don't have to walk too fast to get a lot of miles in that way. But even if you made it half my mileage and, you know, did 12, 15 a day, it would still be a 4 or 5 day trip, and very enjoyable. Any road walking, there's been probably less than a mile of actual pavement. Not really much of gravel county road, just linking trail sections, probably around private property. The other roads would be 2 tracks. Again, usually just linking good tread in sections. Been a few clear cuts you had to get through. They do forest this area. Again, the oil and gas, I showed you that. I only really saw 2 operations, and maybe 3. Otherwise, there's a lot of solitude out here. Beautiful trail. Highly recommended if you're in northern lower Michigan. And I kind of timed it. It's Memorial Day weekend, so I didn't want to be out here with it is used by bikers. And I haven't seen anybody, but you know, this is the first Saturday of the weekend and it's raining, so they're probably not riding right now. But I thought maybe over the weekend there'd be a ton of people, so that's how I decided when to come. I just cut through a state forest campground. So the trail comes out at one end of it and starts up at the other. And a guy stopped me and said, "Excuse me, are you doing what they call a through hike?" So I said, "Yeah, I've been hiking the high country pathway and I'm almost through." I've got about another mile or mile and a half here. I know I'm getting close to civilization. I just went through another small camping area and I had a dog come out after me. And I love dogs and I'm not afraid of dogs. But he was circling me and barking, and he'd get behind me. It'd either come in for a sniff or a snap. I didn't know which, so I did prod him with my poles a couple of times. And thinking, the people are gonna yell at him and come out and grab him. I turn around, they're just watching like, isn't he the cutest thing? Well, he might be, but I don't know him. It's a great trail. I highly recommend it if you're in the area and you're looking for a multi-day hike. This could be your answer. Keep smiling.